What is up, guys? I got another video for you guys today. I hope you like that edit at the beginning of the video. That was my buddy Casey's WRX. I tried to make just a little edit so it wouldn't be a boring video or anything like that. But today we're talking about eBay car parts. Alright guys, before you get too mad at me, just hear me out. So I'm talking about eBay car parts or just Amazon car parts, cheaper car parts in general. They get a really bad name, and I'm trying to shed some light. So if you're like pretty broke like me, you don't have really that much money to spend on nice car parts, but you want a fast car or a good looking car, you need to find the cheapest car parts possible that will do the job. So think about like fender flares. My fender flares are straight from eBay. They're as cheap as can be, but some things you got to think about it, like, is there any technology or any materials or like, you know, like special metals or anything like gold? Is there any like technology that's going into the car part that's making it like better? So if you're thinking about fender flares, they're just plastic pieces that are the same as any other like brand. It doesn't matter if they're really cheap. All it is just a piece of plastic that cleans up your fender. And the whole idea is that it makes the car wider, makes it look a little bit more aggressive, and you can also fit a wider tire or a wider wheel in there. So you got to think about the part. If you're talking about like fender flares, maybe for like a Subaru STI where they have a bunch of different aftermarket companies that make solid fender flares that fit exactly to your body. But for my car, like a Mazda Speed 6, my fender flares, there's no wide body kit, there's no company that makes specific fender flares for my car. So the only option is to go like eBay fender flares. Now, in my opinion, they look great, but how you make them look great is by like your imagination. Like you gotta place them and you gotta mount them in the best way possible. So there's lots of different ways to do it. And that's why I think eBay and Amazon and just cheap car parts get a bad name in general, is because people don't know how, they don't have any imagination to make the parts look good. Like the fender flares, you gotta think about how high to put them, how low to put them, you know, how far front or back to put them. There's like a lot to think about when you're doing them. So it's really important to like, you know, try a few different things and just find what looks best. But I don't think that car parts in general should be discounted as such expensive parts. Now, if we're talking like say a turbo, even an eBay turbo have some great benefits. I've seen like, shout out to Boosted Boys. They use eBay turbos on their Honda builds and they make like 700-800 wheel horsepower and they wreck people all day long. They can probably destroy some supercars, and they're running eBay turbos. Now you just got to think about it. An eBay turbo probably works pretty good, but it's of course not going to spool quite as good as like a Garrett or a Precision turbo, and it's probably going to break down a little bit easier over time and stuff. So you got to think about it. If you just wanted a bigger turbo and you had to run something right there, you could run an eBay turbo, just expect it to blow up or break over time, but it's still going to work. Think about like intercooler piping or the intercooler itself. All an intercooler pipe is just a single aluminum tube. That's all it is. It's just carrying the like air from one direction to the other, or one spot to the other, and it's trying to get it to the front of the car so you can cool it down. So why would you buy like ETS or some expensive company's intercooler like piping if you could just buy cheap eBay piping that does the exact same? Now, if you don't want to make your own piping and route it, then that's when a company like ETS or CX Racing or any other company that makes the kit, that's when you would want to buy one of those. But for me, like I could just make my own intercooler kit. So I would rather save the money and just spend a little bit of time just thinking about how I want to route it and stuff, and then making my own kit. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's all about like, just think about the part and what it's doing, and then decide whether there's any technology or any special like metals or materials that go into building it. Like think about where your money is going and if it's cost effective. Because I see a lot of parts and a lot of people that they buy a nice car like an STI and they put all these parts on it, and then they hate their car because they spent so much money on it. They don't want to break it, or they don't want to like, they don't even want to drive it because they're afraid of, you know, like just little things, because their car is so nice and so expensive. expensive, but I want to build my car so that I can use it and drive it every day and beat the crap out of it. And then if I break it, I will buy those parts again, fix it up, learn from my mistakes, and keep going. That's why I like just sourcing out the cheapest parts that still work. So it's all about just thinking like what part you want and what the best, you know, the best way to get it. Like my turbo, for instance, I bought a genuine precision turbo because I didn't want to have to worry about an eBay turbo ever breaking. But with like my intercooler setup, I'm running intercooler pipes straight from eBay and an eBay intercooler, just because I have faith that it's not gonna break or anything and it's gonna do the same job. So the intercooler itself, probably, see, that's like something where there's materials and there's a lot of debate. That probably would be a good idea to buy a nice intercooler, but I'm kind of taking a risk buying an eBay one. But stuff like the piping or my fender flares or other like little things like that, they don't really matter. You got to just think about where is the money going. See, now if you're talking about like wheels, you could buy eBay wheels, but they for sure will probably break a lot easier and they might not look as good and they might not be the right style. There's a lot of stuff. See, stuff like that, like wheels, there's so much technology and like just good stuff that goes into it, like what the wheel is actually made out of, what like metal it's made out of, how light it is. It's certain things like that that you got to think about. So of course you would want to buy some really nice genuine wheels that are lighter and look really good. But at the end of the day, don't hate on eBay parts. Just think about whether it's like doing the job really well or whether it's working or you know, making more horsepower or whatever. That's what really matters. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't work, then of course don't buy it. I hope you guys like my little take on like eBay parts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.